You ever hit rank 1? I hit rank 2. I guess I technically could have held rank 1, but honestly, I just didn't care. And people just snipe your games constantly or trying to like ruin your whole life. And it's like, dude, like who honestly gives a f at this point? This game is like not competitive anymore. Like I've come to this realization that Overwatch is not a game that I think is going to have a competitive future. I think this game is got a casual future. Genuinely. If you look at everything from the balance to the content, like think about it. The content that comes out is top tier. The skins, the battle pass, the challenges are always fun and entertaining and engaging. What's the one thing we always fall flat on? Balance. What's the one thing that always falls apart? Competitive stuff. Overwatch League is like not that hype. People like don't really care that much anymore. A lot of like the fun and excitement and stuff has just kind of been sucked out. It's not like Apex is a good example. Apex, you have people that are like people that play in pro, but they're also like people's favorite streamers. They're big streamers, and you know, like you have like Hal's team in TSM, and you have Nick Merckx's team, and then you have like these stories that come out of nowhere, like his Watson. There's big storylines that come out. What's the biggest Overwatch League storyline that's come out in the last like 3 years? You know what it was, in my opinion? Super retired.
All right, I'm here.
That's it. Like genuinely, like our biggest thing is like the biggest at the time Overwatch streamer retired. That's it. You know, becoming a quick play player this season? I might. Honestly, it might be the play. Might be the play. Honestly, ranked is just ass right now. It's not fun. Like, I'm gonna be real. It's genuinely not fun. I actually think I enjoyed playing Double Shield in Overwatch 1 more than this. Yeah, like unironically, straight up, just not having a good time playing ranked. The reason ranked isn't fun is I was trying to show you my career profile. The reason I was trying to show you my career profile is because, like, one, you don't get rank updates after every game. You only get rank updates every 7 games. Which I understand for the average player, like trying to keep them from, you know, being afraid to play ranked. I get it. I get it.
That's Ramada. But I feel like that might be all tanks, except for Hog.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, what makes ranked bad is...
Orisa is good. Still want to point out
what makes ranked. What makes ranked. What makes ranked bad?
I wonder if that Tracer Pulse Bomb was intended.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I don't think so.
What did I miss?
No, nothing. The reason ranked isn't fun, chat, is...
Okay, I'm getting off the point here. I gotta go help out over here. Do you need some help over here? Let's go, we're going in. What do you do now?
Listen, by the time we get to this, it's gonna be another ad. I swear to God, I feel it coming. Listen, the reason ranked isn't fun is... Oh my God, everyone's dying. The reason ranked isn't fun is... you don't get updates every game, so you play for long periods of time without feeling like you're progressing anywhere. 2, it's hard to tell like what your games look like. You end up having, like, let's say you're GM5 or GM3, and you have someone on your team that's Diamond 2. You're like, why the f am I playing with a Diamond? But it's like, the matchmaker might actually think that they're also GM. They just haven't played enough games to get to the point where they're also, you know, also in that rank. So, like, what they're trying to do is they're trying to do it like a system like Apex, where it requires you to keep playing the game and makes it so you can't sit there and camp your rank. In Apex, every season when you play, you have to like play again to bring your rank back up. Otherwise, you just keep decaying down to like back to bronze in the bottom of bronze. Overwatch don't work like that though. The way Overwatch works is much more, the number you, or the rank you see is figurative. It's not real. It's an illusion. And what the matchmaker rating for you is on the back end is the real one, but you don't know what that is. Only Blizzard knows what your matchmaking rating is. That's infuriating. It's like, dude, like I should be able to. It's a ranked system, right? So anything in life that's a ranked competitive game, from soccer / football to actual American football to baseball to whatever, anything that tournaments or whatever has rules, they need to be known by everybody so that everyone has a fair shot. It's just not how it works though in Overwatch. They coddle you, they hold your hand, and they pretend like, oh, you're this rank, but you're not actually that rank. And it has both ends of the spectrum, where one, people think that they're too low, so they're like, what the hell, I'm silver, I'm actually plat. And it's like, no, you're not actually silver, you are plat, but the matchmaker thinks you're plat, which is true. You are plat, but the rating you're given is actually silver, and that it's supposed to encourage you to play more so that you can't just sit there and camp your rank, and over a long period of time it should decay, but that's not how it's working. It doesn't look like that to people. It doesn't work like Apex's. And to go even further, the way Apex's works is if you decay all the way back down to bronze, you don't play against Apex Predators, you play against bronzes. So let's say in Apex, right? Let's say you're like diamond, right? And then you decay down to silver because you didn't play for 2 seasons. You will play in silver lobbies. You won't play in diamond lobbies, which is how it should be. But Overwatch doesn't do that. It just changes your rank down to silver, but you still play in diamond lobbies. So your games feel really hard. They feel really oppressive. And you're like, dude, I'm silver and I feel like I'm losing. I'm definitely better than this. My teammates suck balls. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's just the way the matchmaker is being presented to you is a literal lie. And so it's not fun to deal with. It's like this unending system of like, they just refuse to actually tell you the actual truth. Then they lie to you for your own safety and own protection, like we're a bunch of children. That's dog shit. And it's not fun. It's not a competitive experience, and that takes out the complete other side of like balance. Balance feels like it's absolutely off the rails at this point, and it's so far behind. People were saying that Doomfist needed some changes, literally back in the middle of October.
Have you been flashbanged by Moira yet?
No. We're asking for Doom changes back in the middle and early October. But as the meta developed and people learned to play him, he got a lot better and people understood him more. And so as people understood Doomfist more, he became better, and he probably needed some slight tweaks or something to make him better for lower ranked players without making him busted, because he was very hard to hit punches on and hit cooldowns are. But that also comes with time with teaching a new character or teaching a completely new character from the bottom up. That being said, the balance changes were like basically all the way back from like that early October, that people were like, yeah, Doomfist could use some changes, but like, you know, as the meta had developed, it's like, okay, he only needs some small changes. He's actually kind of underrated right now. And then we get these giga buffs that seem like they're a reactionary buff to what we felt about him in early October. And now we're stuck with Gigabuff Doom, but that's not even the big problem. We didn't react to what became the actual meta after the Zarya nerfs, which was Hog. Yes, Winston was good too because people saw it in Overwatch League, but the thing is though, is the average ladder player, even in GM Plus, does not have the coordination that an Overwatch League player or Overwatch League team has. It's not like that. So it's way easier in your ranked environment to pick Hog and go for kills and not have to talk to your teammates, don't work about coordination, you play this weird poke, then play a perfect high coordination, perfect team comp dive. Yes, the Winston comp with like pure coordination probably would win. That's why you see a lot of pro players when they make their tier lists and whatnot, they put Winston really, really high, and they'll say like, oh, Winston's S tier. But they also say Hog is S tier because Hog's also exceptionally good too. And then in contenders actually started playing Hog as well. They started playing Hog with Tracer Sojourn, which by the way, Sojourn, we'll get there in a minute. Sojourn didn't get any actual changes that legitimately matter. Oh boy. Sojourn's changes were like not even a slap on the wrist, not even a small hug. It was like, hey, you have a sharp knife. Hey, we'll replace that sharp knife with a hammer. It's like no, shut up. You're not interrupting. So basically, it's just like you go from having this thing that, you know, is like super problematic, and it's like, okay, we're gonna take her knife away, but we're just gonna replace it with a hammer. What's the worst that could happen? You know, it's like, dude, like, hello, like anyone brains turned on? And all of that comes down to speed. Patching speed needs to be picked up a ton. Patching speed not being picked up and being super slow and only getting one mid-season patch, it's not enough because the Overwatch balance team has not learned how to balance for Overwatch 2 yet. I'm convinced. And the problem with that is that it takes too long. It takes too long. If the patches were much faster, then I think that it'd be in a much better spot. But we're not. We're in a really bad spot because of how long it's taking. And their refusal to budge on that and patch faster and to do once every 2 weeks, because I think that's what Overwatch needs. I think Overwatch needs either once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks. So at once every 2 weeks, they announce the patch notes, and then every 3... Hello? Every 3 weeks, they actually come out. You could end up getting 2 or 3 patch rotations, because the big patch notes we got for Season 2 wasn't enough to shake up the meta. It wasn't. We still play Hog. We just play Doomfist now, so it's Hog Doomfist instead of Winston Doomfist. Sojourn's still Sojourn. Sojourn's still dominating. The Twitter sphere was a joke. No, like in some aspects to me, because I hear things like Mercy's performing better as you go up the ladder. You know who also performed better going up the ladder? Sojourn. You know who Mercy's really good with? Sojourn. So if Mercy's win rate, which is why I don't think you should be patching and balancing off of win rates alone. I think it needs more than that. It's the same thing in content, okay? And this is something it's really hard to explain to someone, because like that's their job and they're supposed to be better than you at it. And they are. I wouldn't be able to balance all the time, but like I also can sit there and be objective and say, I don't think this is the correct way. Because in content, there's a lot of ways to optimize things. Here's a good example. I have someone on my team. He's a data analyst, or I use him as a data analyst. He's good, and he helps retro sometimes with like managerial stuff. But like, you know, sometimes, like for a good example, we found out that if you put the word Overwatch 2 in your in your title with videos, they actually show up in the algorithm like 15% more often. Which was crazy. We were like, what, like, how does that small change work? And then we also found out like stuff with like the ads, and we found out like, you know, where you place ads in the video weren't actually working. Basically, YouTube is like, hey, these are like suggested ad spots, but we're smarter than you and we'll put it where we want. And so basically you can just put them a bunch of places that you think an ad would be good, and YouTube will decide which ones are good and which ones aren't good. So people don't get flooded with ads. They still get the same amount of ads that you should be getting. But like it's just like these very niche situations, and like stuff like that in data is super good. But you know what it also isn't good for? Actual artistic content, things that actually drive people's interest. If you only make content and only like make titles and thumbnails and base everything off of your data, the stuff gets stale. People don't like it. It loses its flair. It loses what makes it attractive to people. Esports for a long time is a good example that was very attractive to people because it was very grassroots. It felt very niche. It was a very small group of people. You know, it felt very alive. It felt very, I don't know if I want to say the word not corporate, but it felt like its own entity. And then as people came into the space and people wanted to monetize it more, of course, a bunch of money got injected. But at the same time, though, it like really lost what made it feel such like an at-home LAN experience, just throwing it at like a big stage for big money and, you know, people having fun, people having a good time. Organic. Or yeah, organic's actually organic's the word. It felt organic. Content, if you constantly chase algorithms and you constantly chase, you know, being perfect with things. So for example, we found that capitalizing a certain word in titles makes them like over time gave us like a 10% increase or a 5% increase in average viewership over a month than from a month we didn't do it. And then on top of that too, it depended on what word was capitalized and what kind of words we would do. So a lot of times adjectives and strong adjectives would get people to click more often than not. But if you have every single video have strong adjectives, you wear it out. You get to the point where people aren't turned on by it anymore. They get annoyed by it. They're not into it anymore. So then your data looks like it doesn't work anymore, and the data reflects and says, "Hey, this isn't working anymore. What happened?" But it's like because you have to use the other part of your brain that's not math and go, "Hey, we overused it. We oversaturated it. We made people go, oh, like." They're just basically farming the same thing over and over. Like, you know, like YouTubers do it. They always do the red arrow with the big circle and it's like, big thing comes out now. And it's like, dude, you can't do that unless something actually big comes out. Because if you keep doing that over and over, even though the data shows that shit gets more views and gets more people to watch it, you lose your credibility. You lose what people actually enjoy about it. And I feel like balance is a lot of the same way. Yes, data is very helpful, But in other ways, if you don't balance off of feeling and how a character feels sometimes, like for example, Reinhardt's a good example. Reinhardt I don't think will ever get another buff again. Because he's one of those heroes that statistically does well in the low ranks and even in high ranks, you know, has like a just barely above 50% win rate or some shit. Remember that old blog post that they put out that was kind of dog shit? That thing was annoying as back when the Zarya meta was happening. They basically put out a thing saying Ryan is actually performing well, so Ryan will never get probably another buff, but Ryan doesn't feel good to play. He doesn't feel fun to play, and what's a good example of that? I would say Pin. Pin feels like shit. Pin feels like shit because like you do this all-in maneuver and you can't even one-tap some of the squishies. Like, when should you be doing a Pin and not able to kill someone? Like that, like that's not a tank. That doesn't make any sense to me, you know? So like, I think that Ryan Pin should at least be 250. And then Fire Strike, I understood putting it to 90 because you get 2 of them, but you lost so many combinations. You lost Window Fire Strike. Why actually, I posed the question, if I can hit 2 Fire Strikes in a row, why shouldn't I earn a kill on a squishy? You know, I actually would pose the question, why aren't I allowed to get a kill if I hit 2 Fire Strikes in a row, if they receive no healing? I feel like I kind of earned that, no? So, there's a lot of things. It's like, the character kind of feels like shit, but it will probably never get buffed because the data shows that he does well. So it's like, this is another example of data versus art. Ranked meta also is ass, for me at least, in high elo, because it's called the one-shot meta right now. Think about what characters are meta. Hog is meta, and Doom. These are the 2 strongest. I would say Orisa is actually very quietly sneaking in as the counter to Doom, which then enables Sigma. So like, I think that it's honestly like in like 2 weeks from now, it's gonna be Hog, Doom, Orisa, Sigma, depending on like, kind of like how that first rotation went with like Zarya is the best pick, but Winston beats Zarya, but Diva on Winston type of deal, like kind of like that. It's the one-shot meta. You've got Hog, you've got Sojourn. Tracer's been buffed, so Tracer can one-clip you very easily now. It's back to old Overwatch 1 damage, so the damage is much higher, it's much more damaging, it's much more scary. Bastion's been buffed. I wouldn't say Bastion's being played a ton, but like, Bastion is kind of like a one-tap. You do kind of like explode. And then Widow's really good. Ashe is getting played a decent amount because Mercy's getting played. Like, top 3 supports right now are Kiriko, Lucio, Mercy. In that order, I'd say. Kiriko, Mercy can work. Kiriko, Mercy can work. Lucio, Mercy doesn't work, obviously. It's like the worst support comp you can have. But Kiriko, Mercy works. Kiriko, Lucio works. Mercy's really good with Sojourn, so you just pocket your DPS. And it just feels like ass. It just feels like total ass. Also, Junkrat's like a sleeper amazing pick. Just because his projectiles are so big. Even though Junk doesn't one-shot you, he just does so much damage that like it feels like you're getting one-shot sometimes. So you got the Sojourn Mercy pocket running around the map, just kind of destroying everybody. Echo God tier. I actually think Echo got hard nerfed by the movement speed change with the passive. Like, Echo with the passive was so crazy. I don't think she's as crazy anymore. I think Echo is still really good, though. But basically, the meta didn't change. Like, everyone thought these, like, big shifting metas were going to come, like, you know, like, next season we get to play, I don't know, we're going to play Orisa, Ball, and Diva or some shit, right? And then, like, you know, then Cass would become meta, Hanzo would be better meta, you know, like, other stuff like that. And then, like, maybe we get to play, I don't know, Moira Lucio or Ana Zen or some shit, you know what I mean? Like, but that's just not how it's worked out. It's just, we play the same DPS meta, same support meta, and instead of playing Zarya, we play Hog. That's the difference. Like, that's not a meta change. That's just the same meta with a different tank. That's it. I don't know. That to me is why ranked is unfun. And I don't have to deal with that as much in comp.